I'm the Downtown Student Body President, and on behalf of the Associated Students of ASU, I'd like to welcome you all to the forum today. The forum is coordinated by your fellow student body presidents that make up the Council of Presidents. Here they are to introduce themselves.
Hi, good morning, one and all. I'm Bhagwan Reddy. I'm the Graduate Student Government Body President. Thank you.
Hey everybody, my name is Joshua Cole. I'm the West Valley Student Body President.
And we are unfortunately missing our Polytech and Tempe president, but they send their warm regards. But the forum is designed
They're very busy over there.
Yes, extremely busy. But the forum today is designed for us to hear updates and engage directly with the Q&A portion, where I'll be asking questions submitted to us by students for the forum. We also have the other presidents who will be monitoring questions you can submit live from our Zoom. Because we only have 1 hour with President Crow today, we understand that not all questions will be answered. And however, we will follow up with the questions that are unanswered. We invite you to remain informed by reviewing our updates on the ASASU website throughout the school year and upcoming priorities for the academic year. Thank you, President Crow, for being here. We are excited to hear from you directly about the state of ASU and other updates, after which we'll get started on some other questions students have. Can you share some updates about the university at this time that you believe are important for students to know about?
Well, thank you. And it's a privilege to be able to be here again for those that are here in the room at the Great Hall of the Law School, and then those of you that are online and have an opportunity to answer questions and sort of keep people informed. I mean, really amazing thing is that we have an undefeated women's basketball team. And so Coach Miller has done a fantastic job energizing our women athletes, taking on our opponents with every ounce of energy you can imagine. So it's just exciting to see a turnaround in that program. On broader issues, the university is in fine shape coming to the end of the fall semester 2025. We are going to graduate this academic year more students than we've ever graduated before. We're going to graduate students from every background imaginable, so all of that is on track. We're weathering all of the uncertainties and complexities that are out there with international student visas. I'll come back to that in a second. With different approaches to federal government funding, which are now being implemented in rapid ways, meaning new kinds of grants being requested, quick turnaround, new kinds of topics, and so forth. So our faculty are fast and furiously involved in all of that. The applications for next year, I was told that we had a double-digit increase in applications for next year against where we were at this point last year. And so we're very excited about that in terms of people being interested in the university. We learned that 5 turnovers in a high-level football game is not a good idea against the University of Arizona, so they were able to, we kept their score relatively low, but the 5 turnovers didn't work in our favor. But I think there were some lessons learned. I was with the team after the game, talked to a few of the players. They were very emotional about the game, as you would expect them to be, and it was hard fought in any event. So overall, the university is doing well. We are advancing on a model of greatly enhancing the tools available to our students. We're going to be advancing an advanced technology assistance program. We're going to be advancing new tools, new agentic. Think of that as carefully constructed, small language model, engineered, augmented intelligence tools to help our students to learn deeper, more broadly, and so forth, but in the way that they learn. And so it's not what you think of as AI, in the sense that we're not just going to throw open, the entire internet and all digital information to our students and say, good luck. These have to be choreographed, orchestrated tools designed to help a learner to learn. And so that's what we're working on. That's what we're developing. We announced that Will I.M., the founder of the Black Eyed Peas and an engineering savant and a technology savant, will be teaching a class in the spring semester on the use of agentic tools and agentic learning. So we're very excited about that. And lots of other tremendous things that are happening within the university. I do want to say that I just want to remind students that are listening in particular that on your own mental health, to take very careful care of yourselves. If you're feeling unsettled, if you're feeling uneven, if you're feeling out of sorts, if you're feeling negative about yourself, reach out. raise your hand. I happen to be of the view that everybody should have some sort of counselor that's helping them to manage their lives and manage their trajectories and help them to attain their goals. It even was the case, you'll laugh when I say this, that in a future science fiction show called Star Trek: The Next Generation, the captain of the Enterprise, Jean-Luc Picard, had a full-time counselor advisor on the bridge helping them to make decisions and to deal with their emotional complexities. And so I just wish we had those kinds of capabilities for everyone. And so if you're having some sort of issues, or you might be, or if you know of people that are, really struggling, or reach out. Let's get everybody the kind of help that they need. So just want to remind everybody of that. So thank you.
Thank you, President Crow. To kick off the Q&A portion, we'll ask some of the questions that were submitted to us before the forum. If you are just joining now via Zoom, the questions feature in the webinar is on. So if you have any questions during this time, you can type your question there. If you're joining us live, please use the QR code to submit your questions directly. So our first question is from an undergraduate student. ASU prides itself on being a new American university. What's the next step for upholding that title?
Well, I mean, the next step for us is to perfect that model, and that means then we have to work to improve our graduation rates. We have to work to improve our success within the institution. We have to work to make certain that a person that comes to the institution from any family has many, many options when they graduate. It's not about finding a job per se, but we need to be able to help you to be able to do that. It's about empowering you to be a master learner. I think the other thing that we're trying to do in the further manifestation of the new American University model is to be of greater service to the country. We already have large numbers of veterans' family members, active duty military attending the university. We want to reach out to more. We want to be actively involved in helping the economy to accelerate and expand and create more jobs and more job opportunities for more people. So we're very interested in that. And then we're also very interested in the further development of our democracy, the principles by which we live, the way we make decisions. How do we enhance decision making? How do we deal with the complexities of social media? Where there's a little bit of crudeness that's occurring now in social discourse that has always been present, but never at this magnification level, never at this the volume turned up so high. So we're really looking to be of greater service across all dimensions of the country and its future.
Thank you, President Michael Crow. Our next question for you is, what is the best advice you would tell students at ASU to follow in order to be best prepared for their future?
Well, I had this thing with my own 3 children who are now adults and out of college, and that was double major, double major, double major. And what I really mean when I say that, and they all did, although one resisted heavily, and I sort of gave in, and then she surprised me by double majoring. And I didn't want to give in, but I did. And then I didn't have to. And so what I mean by double major is not so much the literalness of double major. It's that don't limit yourself in your educational opportunities. So if you're an online student or an on-campus student, try to find a way to not only focus on the subject that you're interested in, or if you're interested broadly on the survey learning that you're interested in, but then find something else also, because it will affect the core subject that you're learning. So if you're an engineering major and you double major in sustainability, or you double major in English, or you double major in music, everything about you and your outcomes down the road, your learning outcomes, your learning possibilities, your job possibilities, everything will be increased in its aperture. You'll have more opportunities, more alternatives to consider, more ways of enhancing your thinking, more ways to evolve over time. And so the best advice that I can give in the narrow space of being a college student is double, 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 triple, triple, triple. Do not limit yourself. And then let's say that you're a person like some of my friends when I was in college and I was trying to major in as many things as possible, said, well, I just want to understand everything about physics. Okay, well, why? Not why do you want to understand everything about physics, but why are physics important? What is it about? It's not just the physics itself, but why is it important? And then also, how do you communicate that importance to someone who isn't a physicist? And so it's about broadening yourself to be able to do those kinds of things. So the questions are always centrally around three words: why, what, and how. And in the why, what, and how, I think you should always be asking yourself that in the design of everything that you're taking on and everything that you're learning. I think the other thing is, I've been doing this a lot lately, so people keep saying to me that we're living in like some horrible moment. I'm like, compared to when? Compared to what moment in time? We live at the apex of the emergence of the most significant democracy in the history of our species. And it has every complexity that you can possibly imagine because it's a democracy. It has every complexity you can imagine because we argue about everything that we're going to do. You can't do this, you can't do that. You need this group to support this, you need this group to get support for that. That's, of course, the way that it's designed to work. And so apparently when people get all frustrated about things, I guess what they really want is, you know, some single person to decide everything. Well, no, that's not the system that we have. We 250 years ago began a revolution to not live in a system like that. And so the other thing I say to people is that you've got to bring yourself up to speed with history. If you don't know what's going on historically, if you don't know where you are in time and space, you're lost. You cannot know where you are in time unless you understand where you are in a historical context. And so I have given away many books and given away thousands of advice of books to read just to give people a sense of the actual complexity of the world. And there's one book by a really famous American historian by the name of William Manchester called The Glory and the Dream. It's a book about the history of the United States between 1932 and 1972. Just those 40 years, just that 40-year window. It's beyond belief what went on in that 40-year window. And so we live in a moment of calmness by comparison. The opening scene of that book is the President of the United States, Herbert Hoover, and the General of the Army, Douglas MacArthur, putting down a riot of military veterans from World War I who were in Washington, D.C., living in a shanty town that they built so that they could be paid their bonuses from World War I that they weren't paid. They were called the bonus riots. And, you know, there were people killed and stabbed with bayonets and shot by the army and everything else that you can possibly imagine. That's the opening scene, 1932, the good old days, as they say. And so the good old days were complicated just like today's days are complicated. And you have to work things out. And so to understand how to do that, you must know where you are in time and space.
Thank you. This question is from an undergraduate student. Does the university have any programs or know of any organizations that help students combat food insecurity, especially at this time where SNAP benefits are down?
So food insecurity is real. There are all kinds of students who don't have money, or they use their money for things other than their food, as they're maybe taking care of other people or what have you. And so if you do not have a steady supply of access to food, and you're a student at Arizona State University, you raise your hand. You tell someone. If no one else is available, you tell me. You tell your dean of students on your campus. You tell one of your faculty members. You tell someone, hey, I'm really struggling. I'm not getting enough to eat. I'm down to like 1,000 calories a day or whatever, which is, you can't live on that. You certainly can't be an effective student on that. You raise your hand, and then we'll find a solution for you, including immediate food. We have lots of food on campus. There's no shortage of food around here, and so we'll help you to work that out. We'll also help you to figure out why you're in that predicament. You know, why have you, what happened? What happened to you financially? What happened to your family? What happened to your support system? I always say to students constantly, your family system is, if it changes and your financial dynamics change, raise your hand so that your financial aid situation can be reevaluated. I came from a family where no one had ever gone to college. I came from a family where I did not receive 1 penny to go to college from my family, not 1 cent. And so I had to figure out how to eat and where to live and how to pay my tuition and how to, buy everything I needed to buy to go to college. And so I understand personally that it's not easy, but you have to raise your hand. Now, I was a big hand raiser, like, oh, I can apply to that. Somebody can help me with this. I can do this job during break, and they pay my room and board during the spring break. And so there's all kinds of ways to make things happen, but you have to raise your hand. So food insecurity, it exists, it's real. We want to help you both financially and from a food perspective.
Thank you, President Michael Crow. This question is from a West Valley student and their plans to expand on-campus health services to better meet the needs of the growing student population.
What was the campus?
West Valley
Valley.
campus.
Yes. So we have right now. We've added a new academic building there. We've added some new residence halls there. We have. We're still planning additional facilities there. Everything right now, believe it or not, the facilities are underutilized on the West Valley campus in every case. And so when people say, we wish we had this, we wish we had that, well, we have to use what we have. And so we're ready to do whatever's necessary to help the West Valley campus to grow and expand. We need to attract more students there. We need the students that are there to spend more time there. We need the students that are there to, purchase more services, so more services, food and so forth can be made available. So there's no lack of desire to build out the West Campus. We have another couple hundred acres we can build on. We're looking to build out the Innovation District, part of that campus, which would be then, I think, powerful for that campus. We're looking at additional residence halls for that campus. We're looking at additional facilities for that campus. Someone asked me earlier about a student union or something like a student union on the West Valley campus. That's about demand. That's about having people. What we should do there is design what would be useful now, and then of course we have to figure out how we're going to pay for it. Right now, the student facilities on the West Valley campus are subsidized by student fees from throughout the university. So we need more students on the West Valley campus paying their student fees so that we can help finance the activities on the West Valley campus.
Thank you. This question comes from a Tempe student. If you were currently enrolled as a student at ASU, what would you personally do to stand out and get your name out there?
If I did what? What was the first part?
If you were enrolled at ASU.
Right now, I wish I was, because that would mean that I was 18 again. Every movie that has that deal, it doesn't work out. But it's still fun to watch what it would be like to go back. And then there's always those strange ones that go back and pretend that they're, a college person or a high school person when they're not. So, what I would really focus on is trying to create things, write things, create things, build things, work with teams that become like, if you go to Robert Kennedy's grave at Arlington National Cemetery, he's buried right behind his brother, John, and there's a white cross. He was killed in June 1968 by an assassin in a hotel in Los Angeles while running for president. It's a pond in which a drop of water is dropped into this arc, small pond. It might be, I don't know, like 50 feet or 100 feet or something like that. And then it creates a ripple. And then the ripple moves across the entirety of the pond. And the pond is arced, so the ripple has an arc. It starts as a single point, and then it spreads out across the entire distance of the arc of the pond, and then it goes all the way to the end of this little concrete pond. And so I'm all about dropping the little pebble and creating this arc. And then you just never know what impact it's going to have. So if I was a student, studies take maybe like 35 or 40% of your time, maybe. And then what are you going to do with the rest of your time? Well, you need to be active in groups, and you need to maybe do some public service, but you need to build something, do something, and then drop your little pebble in. It's not about how old you are. It's just the opposite. You got more energy when you're younger, so you can create more of these pebbles and drop them and see what happens. So that's what I'd be doing.
Thank you, President Michael Crow.
That's what I still try to do.
Okay. Thank you very much. This question is from a West Valley student. What initiatives or projects are you implementing for the new year for the West Valley campus, other campuses also?
Well, for the West Valley campus, we're going to pizza every day for everyone, all the time. No, just kidding. I wish, because then I would be out there. So the West Valley campus, the initiatives that we have that are really focusing on is building what we hope will be the world's greatest forensics school. Our interdisciplinary school of forensics, we think, can be world-class, one of a kind. I'm conceptualizing right now a headquarters in my mind for that school. which people would come to from all over the country and all over the world to be a part of that. We've got the new engineering school there and the other new programs that are there that we're trying to flesh out and move forward. So we've got those two things underway. We're looking to continue the expansion of the enrollment in the new school for interdisciplinary arts and sciences, which forensics school is a part of that. But we're looking at that, and that's occurring. So, and we're looking to land our first major tenant in the West Valley Innovation District. And so we're working with those folks right now in terms of a third party that could build a facility there that would be connected and connectable to our students and so forth. So all of those things are underway on the West Valley campus. You know, and I think, you know, a little bit less concrete, no pun intended, is the tools that we're building for the students on the West Valley campus. The agentic assistant, the access to every learning tool imaginable, every advanced tool imaginable, helping that to allow the students there to take advantage of all assets of the university. So, you know, those are initiatives that we have for the West Valley campus.
Thank you. This next question is also from an undergraduate student. How can the university promote recycling awareness and education among students on campus?
Recycling? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we already have, I think, very little solid waste. We're recycling almost everything. We've got expansions of that. So we're one of the 5 most sustainable university campuses as a physical place in the entire world. You know, we have high levels of renewable energy for our electricity during the day. We have lots of recycling. We're moving towards low carbon footprint vehicles. We've lowered the carbon footprint of the university while we've expanded the enrollment of the university. That's nearly impossible in most cases. We build our buildings LEED certified in every case in terms of sustainability. Some of our newer buildings are LEED Platinum and net zero. So the student pavilion on the Tempe campus is a net zero building, so it doesn't really consume any energy. It produces as much energy as it consumes. And so we're excited about all of those kinds of things. And so I'm sure there's more that we could do with recycling, but you know, what we also need are you know, other ideas. We're looking at how to build a university farm where we could grow more of our own produce for the dining halls and so forth and so on. So we're looking at that. And so we've got all these things that are underway.
Thank you, President Michael Crow. This question is from an undergraduate student. They have noticed the gradual increase in tuition. Are there plans to offer additional or appropriate scholarships to support students who may struggle to afford their education due to their rising costs?
Yeah, so we pretty much have an unbelievable financial aid program. So if students can't afford to come to the university, then we find pathways for them to afford it. And so we're spending hundreds of millions of dollars a year of our own resources on financial aid. We're for students from Arizona in particular, if you're below what, let me see, about $100,000. Yeah. Yeah, Pell. So if you're Pell eligible, your tuition costs would be very low to zero. And so we have, so it's often the case that you have to make sure, Missy, what percentage of our students don't fill out the financial aid form? So one of the things that we have happening right now is that there's a federal financial aid form, which is, even if you don't need federal financial aid, you might need some kind of financial aid from the university. You might need some kind of support from the university. Everyone should fill out this form, and then it helps us to understand how we can be most helpful to you in as fair a way as possible. I think our net tuition, what would you say our net tuition is? I keep 38. So what's called net tuition for in-state students, that's after grants, is, the person I'm talking to is Missy Pizzo, who's the head of financial aid, among many other things.
Hi.
And so our net tuition is about $3,800 after grants, no loans, for in-state students. We kept our out-of-state student tuition and our international student tuition, as you know, at what we call the average range for universities. And so we do that on purpose. We know that we could charge a lot more for international students. We don't, because we're trying to be as cost-effective as we possibly can be. and help the institution to run and to work. And so, and if a student has, like this particular questioner, if they have a particular need, they should raise their hand immediately, get in to see financial aid right away, help everyone to help financial aid to see your family circumstances. Sometimes students are embarrassed their parents have gotten divorced or their dad took off and took all the money. Okay, don't be embarrassed about that. Your dad's a jerk. And so, or if you can't, or your dad said he's going to pay for something and then he doesn't. Okay, well you come to financial aid and you make the case. Now you need to be honest about those things, but you make the case and then we make adjustments. You want to comment on that, Missy?
Absolutely. We will always look to make sure a student has a FAFSA on file. And when a student does come to our office and present with some of these situations President Crow has mentioned, we have some opportunities where we can review information. We do need some documentation, right, as we tie into some federal rules, but that is our basic starting point, and then we work from there and identify other resources. I do want to encourage.
And those forms are secret; they're classified.
It's all confidential for students.
Yeah,
students
we
submit
can't
their
give out
information.
any information about a family's income or family situation or anything like that.
All confidential. I also encourage all students. ASU has a tool. It's called Scholarship Universe. It's on our website. There's a link there. Every student who is admitted and enrolled has the ability to search for scholarships that are from private donors to Arizona State University or donors that exist across the world who are providing funds to help students pursue education at Arizona State University. So
like
please,
the new award we got for caddies, golf caddies.
correct, yes. The Evans Scholarship absolutely is something that's there, but many colleges and schools have their own private funds that they manage for students in their colleges and schools. So this is where you find that information, and this is the tool you use to apply for those scholarships.
So sometimes what happens, and I see this when I talk to students individually, like I remember a few years ago I was standing in the Starbucks on this campus, and this young woman came up to me and she was just in tears, and she was trying to get into the nursing school or something, and then she thought that her scholarship was linked to the nursing school, and she didn't get into the nursing school, and she was in tears, and she was so upset, and even very, very, very emotional. And just calm down. It's gonna all work out. There's lots of ways to stay on path. There's lots of ways to get to your goal. There's lots of ways to, if you for whatever reason lose this, there's another door that opens. And so the key is raising your hand or coming by and just saying something. And if all else fails, as my colleagues that are here know, you write to me, and I'll connect you with the right person. And we have everything you can imagine. It's a couple of you will smile, one that I've been dealing with the last couple of days where, the student is concerned about their computational access and this and this and this and all kinds of other things, or something's happened in their family, their parents died in a car accident, and then they don't tell us. And then they're suffering from financially and personally and emotionally from all of that. We're here to help you to succeed. We only have one reason. We are here to help you to succeed. And we're going to do whatever we can to help you to do that.
Thank you. This question is from an undergraduate student. I would like to know why the Barrett fee will be increasing in the following years.
If what?
Why the Barrett fee will be increasing.
The Barrett fee by itself is increasing in the fall? No. There's an increase that we're proposing for, I'd have to know the specifics of that question. So if you change your major, your fee can improve, but I don't think we asked for a Barrett increase, did we? Yeah, tier increase, yeah. So what that means is that we have changed the tier status of Barrett as a school, right? To the tier 5, upper tier 4. And so the reasons for that is it goes to the cost structure. So the Barrett program is more expensive than other aspects of the university, just like engineering is more expensive than Teachers College. And so that's the reason. And if you want more details on that, just write me.
Thank you, President Michael Crow. So this question is from a West Valley student. President Crow, students are concerned about the impact the Aramark strike will have on campus operations and on the workers who support our daily campus life. What steps is the university taking to ensure that dining workers are treated fairly and that ASU aligns the vendor practices with our values?
Well, so we have a contract for the delivery of dining services with a company called Aramark. We negotiated that contract with them and just renewed it recently. The compensation models for our dining service workers are substantial in the market. They are high within the market. There are apparently issues that the workers still have with the company that they're attempting to work out. We believe they'll work these issues out, and we ask all of our contractors. So our food service company, Aramark, is a contractor, and I might ask Dr. Joanne Vogel to comment on this in a second, but they know our expectations for the treatment of workers, for the compensation of workers, and so forth. So, Dr. Vogel, what would you add relative to Aramark employees?
Yeah, I think if the questioner, and hard to know, is asking about maybe student workers who are working for Aramark, it's always important for you to bring any of those issues forward, and then we work with Aramark and others to resolve those issues. The other thing that we do know is what are the effects? I heard that in the question about are we preparing for, or what happens if dining workers strike? Aramark has worked with other employees that they have in the area. They always have a contingency plan, so we can make sure that our primary goal, of course, is to make sure that our students and others in our community, faculty and staff, have a place they can go to eat. And so they have contingency plans for that.
In the 23 years that I've been in this job, there's been one employee disruption in 23 years. And, we try to solve problems before things get to that point. And so that's what we'll be working to try to do.
Perfect. This question is from a West Valley student. What is the status of building an MU in the West Valley?
I'm shocked. So what we need is, right now we don't have enough demand for an MU, but having said that, what we need is what a design of an MU should look like. So student government should be working with FACMAN, Facilities Management, and Student Affairs to say, okay, let's start talking about a student union, and where would it go, how would it be built, how it might be built in stages. And I know what probably motivates this is the expansion of the student union on the Polytechnic campus. And so why does Polytechnic campus get that, and why does downtown campus have that, and why does the Tempe campus have a great student union, and at the West Valley campus we have like a dining hall and a little area where you can sit around and eat food? Well, the answer is student demand. And so what we need is two things. What would the design be like? How can we work at what's called the conceptual level, where you conceptualize what you want the student union to be and where it would be and how it would work? It probably would be over near where the food service is and so forth and so on. And I think they left some space there to build something. So now let's start looking at what would be involved. And then once you decide what you want it to be, then how much would that cost? And let's say it costs, I don't know, $40 million or $50 million. That would probably be about the amount that it would cost. Well, how do you then pay the $40 or $50 million to make it happen? So I'm happy if that process begins and people come up with that conceptual design, and Dr. Vogel and her office can work with facilities management and the university architect to plan out these things, and then talk to student leaders, and let's see what it would take and what it costs and how we could make that happen.
Thank you, President Michael Crow. Our next question for you is, as ASU expands, how will the university maintain class quality and student support, especially given the large number of new students welcomed this academic year?
Yeah, so each school and each department has its own approach to maintaining quality. We're not doing anything that's not high quality. We're not doing anything that's not, so if you're teaching opera, you might have 10 students in the class. If you're teaching undergraduate biology, you might have 100 students in the class. If you're teaching introductory anthropology, you might have 800 students in the class. It all depends on the course. And so we maintain quality as a principal objective of what we're doing, and so there's no diminishment of that. We fund growth off the top of the resources that the university has, and so I'm going to ask Provost Nancy Gonzalez to comment on how we maintain quality in academic programs.
We put a very high priority on the quality of our educational experiences and programs. And, as students grow, enrollment grows, we increase faculty is one way we do that. We also we're always investing in new approaches, new technologies, et cetera, to be able to expand and improve continuously the offerings that we give to students. So, we're always looking to make sure the students each of them are getting the best experience possible.
Thank you.
This next question comes from an undergraduate student regarding the newly opened sports psychology program. As someone considering and most likely pursuing sports psychology, what's so special about ASU's newly opened master's program at the West Valley campus? Is it unique or different than others across the country, or is it somewhat the same?
Well, I'll give you the general answer, and then maybe Provost Gonzalez can comment more specifically. So we don't have anything that's just like whatever everybody else does. All of our programs are between unusual and unique, and so I'll just say that. And so sports psychology here is, first, this is a university with a number of sports-related degree programs, sports business, sports marketing, sports psychology, so forth. And so one advantage that we have is that Phoenix is a athletic-oriented, sports-oriented, competitive community with multiple professional sports and university sports and spring baseball and all kinds of other things. And so there's a large market here with a large number of high schools and so forth and so on. So this is a place in which the learning environment and the living environment are overlapping in a way that's to the advantage of the program. So what would you add, Nancy?
I think you really articulated it well. We're very excited to be adding the master's in sports psychology. We think there's going to be great demand, and those students will have the ability to take advantage of interdisciplinary opportunities in psychology, probably more so here than in other places, and then the broader opportunity to pursue internships and engagement in the sports activities across the valley are really outstanding.
What I needed when I was an athlete in college, I needed a sports psychologist to help me to understand why I couldn't do any better than I was doing.
Thank you.
A sports psychologist could have done that.
Yes.
Thank you. So thank you, President Michael Crow. This next question is, as ASU continues to innovate and expand, which upcoming advancement or project are you most excited about, and how do you see it benefiting students?
I'm most excited about, if you set aside all of there's two things going on relative to artificial intelligence. So there's fear-mongering, some of which is justified. What will happen? What will the impact be? Will it work? Is it quality? And so forth. And then there's circus masters out there that are saying that it's going to be like the greatest thing ever made. And so somewhere in between is the actual pathway. So you design within that a series of tools for our students. We're now calling this our advanced technology program for our learners. And so what I'm most excited about is how do we help a student and a learner to have access to whatever they need for whatever question they're trying to answer. So I've been using 3 or 4 different AI systems while I teach myself how to use them. And what I find is that the skill of the user is the key ingredient. That is the quality of the question, the quality of the way that you're organizing your thinking. And so what I'm most excited about is that I get to carry this reference library in my pocket. When I was a college student, unlike most other college students, I was a weirdo. And so I went to the reference library probably between 5 and 7 times a week. And it was all women, all of the women that worked in that reference library knew me as the person that was there all the time asking them questions. How can I find the answer to this? How can I find the answer to this? And so what I have gone back and done, I went back to my memory from over 50 years ago and asked all the questions I remember asking these reference librarians of my AI system, and they answered every one of them. That means then that when I go to the reference librarian now, I'm going to ask questions about the questions, not the question. And so it upskills everyone's game. And so what I'm really most interested in is every student accelerating their ability to learn by being technologically enhanced to be a better learner. The learning system, whatever it is, augmented intelligence, artificial intelligence, isn't there to do the work for you. It's there so you can do more work. It's there so you can ask more questions. It's there so you can be more rich in the way that you're engaging with a subject. So this morning, before dawn, when I was walking, I'm listening to this book that I'd read a few years ago on the history of Europe. It's a 61-hour audible book, 61 hours. And so it was going through the Mycenaean evolution with the European manifestations of the emergence of Crete as a sort of a society on its own, and the other island nations in and around Greece and what is now Turkey, what's now Greece and what's now Turkey. And it was walking through a whole series of concepts that I couldn't quite remember where those were coming from and how this evolved and what about this and what about that. So then I quit listening to the book and I go to my Gemini tutor, and then I ask these questions. Well, what about this? What about this? What about this? What about this? And while I'm walking, listening on my AirPods, the male voice is answering my questions in ways in which I'm like, oh. So then I go back to the book that I'm reading, and I'm like, now I have a better understanding, because I didn't really understand exactly what he was talking about. I didn't really understand, this is a story about how did Europe evolve into what Europe ultimately became. And it's at the very antecedents, the first organized societies that were there, and the first cultures that emerged. And in particular, they were spending a lot of time talking about religious manifestations and spirituality and the way that those evolved. And so I asked 4 or 5, 6 questions, and then that same tool, if I go back to it tomorrow and say, you remember those questions I was asking you yesterday, it will say, oh yeah, let's pick up on that. And so, are you kidding me? Why shouldn't we have that in a well-trained way of interacting with, and then also what we're building, I guess it's a long answer, but we also want ultimately every student to leave with their learning assets somehow put together so that they can ask it a question. You remember when I was in that class my freshman year and that stupid professor was saying a bunch of stuff that I didn't agree with? My thinking has really changed a lot since then. Remind me what he said. Pull up that syllabus and show me what those 3 articles were that we were supposed to read. I didn't read the second one. Maybe I should have. Give me a summary of that second article. And so, if you have a tool like that coming along, that's what we're looking to build. That's what I'm most excited about. You're not going to be limited by the fact that you grew up in some high school that had a crummy library, or your family couldn't afford encyclopedias, and so the other kids' families had encyclopedias, and the other kids went to Europe, but you never got to go to Europe. You never got to travel anywhere, and so, but now you have a tool that can help you to learn. That's what I'm most excited about.
Thank you. This question is from an undergraduate student as well. What measures are currently being taken to increase campus safety?
Well, obviously, I think Chief Thompson is here. ASU Police Chief Thompson is here. We're very focused on campus safety, very focused on everything possible. I don't know what additional measures that we're advancing, but the chief is going to come down. Obviously, we have improved camera technology, improved technologies in buildings, outside of buildings. We have, great trained police officers. Chief, do you want to add what are some of the new things that we're doing?
Sure. So in addition to everything that President Crow talked about, we are constantly looking at how we can, be more effective and efficient with how we respond to safety and be proactive in creating that safe environment. So one of the things that we are working on that we'll launch hopefully here in the spring is we're going to do a pilot program on the Tempe campus with drones, where we will respond to calls for service with drones, as well as be a little more proactive with.
So a person could feel unsafe, and then a drone could immediately come over.
That's correct.
Right?
Yep. So if you were to, let's say, hit one of the call boxes, we could launch the drone. The drones that are being used by other police departments in this way can get on scene within 90 seconds. So within a minute and a half, the drone is now over top of you. We are getting that real time into our police department, where we can get a sense for what's going on and better respond to whatever the issue might be.
So it turns out, and there's a huge new literature out on this, or scientific research that says that police presence of properly trained police officers and police tools are a huge deterrent to crime. And that in the US, unlike in Europe, where they have 3 or 4 times as many police officers per person on the street working with the population, in the US we tend to have these smaller police departments, and then they end up having less of an ability to deter crime. And deterrence doesn't mean breaking up the crime. It means that the criminal doesn't want to do the crime because they might be observed, they might be seen. And so we're trying to do this with trained officers and special tools. And then how are we doing in terms of our crime rates?
Yeah, so I mean, in terms of our crime rates on all of our campuses, we are tremendously doing well in comparison to, you know, even the cities that surround our campuses. So, you know, the university, President Crow, invests a lot in our ability to stay ahead of the game in this regard, to have the appropriate staffing levels that we need on each campus
And
to be able to
pay our
respond.
officers a wage that they want to work for us.
That's correct, yes. And then one other thing that I just want to mention for this campus specifically, we, for the last few years, we've had officers that are specially trained in working with persons experiencing homelessness and things like that. And so we're actually working with a larger group with multiple different schools and colleges here on the downtown campus to look at potentially what it might look like for a co-responder type setup here on
And
this
then do we have
campus.
some students that have become police aides?
Oh yeah, so pretty much I would say probably 90% of our department is made up of either ASU graduates, current students, or our parents of students at ASU. And so that is a model that has served us very well. They understand what we're doing here. They understand the mission. They understand, you know, the uniqueness of ASU. And so, you know, we're very fortunate to have them as part of the department.
And then how many vacancies do we have in the police department? And then I'm saying this to the community, including students, that you know family members that are trained as police officers and they'd like a great place to work, then send them over to us.
Yeah, so as President Crow talked about, we've been fortunate to increase the wages to a point where we are one of the top destinations for police officers. So at the moment, I really don't have any vacancies.
But what's
That was not
the
always-
starting wage for an entry-level officer?
So for police officer at ASU, while you go into the academy, we're starting you around $60,000 a year. And then over 7 years, you can top out. When you're working all the overtime with athletics and things like that, it's a 6-figure income per year.
Right, with all the benefits and the tuition benefits and so forth and so on. So, all right, thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, President Michael Crow. This question is from a West Valley student. Given the growing unrest in migrant communities, this will naturally spill over to ASU as many college students are first generation. Immigrants who are trying to get more for their families. What is ASU willing to do to help protect these students and can ensure they are getting the education they are paying for?
Yeah, so we treat every student the same. And so if you're admitted to the university and you're one of our students, then you know you are here, and we are going to protect your ability to complete your degree, to be successful. If you're an international student, as you know, you have been vetted by the admission process, by a financial analysis, so forth and so on. If you are an undocumented student, then you're subject to the laws of the state of Arizona, in which the people have voted to allow undocumented students that have graduated from Arizona high schools, who have lived in Arizona for at least 2 years, to attend as in-state students the university. So that's been settled by the people by public referendum. So that's a powerful thing. So we, at least up to this point, we haven't had any significant issues about students, because everybody's here because they're able to be here. So we're operating in that way. And in terms of helping students to graduate, you know, we're excited about our international student population, about our students that are coming in. We're arguing with others for the value of the H-1B visas. the OPT extension of the student visa, the other professional training. ASU has about 20,000 visas under our responsible management. We have the 4th largest number of international students of any American university. If you talk to the companies that we're talking to, these are important assets to the advancement of American businesses, and it creates more American jobs than are used by the international students. So the overall growth is net positive. So we're making that case in everything that we're doing.
Thank you. This question is from a Tempe student. In light of recent national and campus conversations surrounding Greek life, what is your vision for the future of fraternities and sororities at ASU over the next 5 to 10 years? And what expectations or contributions do you see as most essential for chapters to demonstrate in order to remain trusted and valued partners in the university?
Well, we've seen a lot of progress in Greek life at ASU in the last 15 years with the Greek Village and other fraternities and sororities that are a part of the university community. We've seen substantial positive behavioral changes, focus on leadership, focus on academic outcomes, focus on community. And so the fraternities and sororities that we have at the university now are, for the most part, cherished members of the community, performing very well in terms of outcomes. I'd be happy to have more fraternities and sororities, more Greek life students, be happy to build another Greek village if there's demand for it. Be happy to build Greek villages on the various campuses also if there's demand for it. And so we're very happy about where we are in terms of where we need to get. I'm always hopeful that the Greek communities can be sororities and fraternities can be leaders within the institution, taking on public service roles, taking on leadership roles, setting examples in lots of ways. And so right now we're in a very good spot compared to where we were 15 years ago or so, and compared to where a lot of other universities are still struggling with Greek life.
Thank you. This question is also from a Tempe student again. Greetings from Thunderbird, Mr. President. You've witnessed multiple generations of students come and go. From your experience, what motivation takes students the furthest in their career and life after graduation?
The motivation that takes students the furthest is taking responsibility for the building of your family and your community. And those are the two things that if you focus on that, you're going to go the furthest if you focus on those two things. And lots of people think that it's about other things. It's not. It's about those two things. Now, family definition, that's a broadly scoped definition, but family and community. and the rest will fall in place.
Thank you, President Michael Crow. So our last question is for you.
Yes.
So why did you join and leave CIA?
Why did I what?
Why did you join and leave CIA?
CIA?
Yeah.
I never joined the CIA, but it's an interesting story. Maybe someone wrote a novel. and so it is the case that since 1998, I have been a part of a board called In-Q-Tel, which was formed that is organized in 98 and then formed in 99. And that organization finds technologies at the earliest stage of development and speeds them into use in national defense and intelligence. And so lots of people have read that and they think, well, this guy, me, must work for the CIA. No. I help the national defense of the country by being a part of this board. I've been a part of this board for 26 years now. I've been the chairman of this board for 17 years. We've made, I'll give you an example. So what we do is we find a little tiny company. So here's a company that we found years and years and years ago called Keyhole. So what's the name of Keyhole now? Google Earth. So Google Earth was the company Keyhole. There was a tiny, tiny little company now that's involved in advanced defense-related things for the United States called Palantir. So we were one of the earliest investors in Palantir. So we make investments in companies that then produce some kind of technology more quickly than the market would have normally built it. and then that technology is put to use. Battery technologies, software technologies. If you walk in the airports at some of the bigger cities, you'll walk through, you'll notice this sometimes, you walk through a little 2-door glass chamber. Anybody notice that? Yeah. You may not know that there's a sniffer in there that's sniffing for nuclear and biological weapons. Well, we invested in the technologies that built those sniffers. And so the reason I get on this board is because I have this ability to think about what technologies might be useful for certain kinds of things. And so they said, could you help us be on that board? Can you help us to build that? So the board is made up of venture capitalists. There's a woman on that board named Safra Katz. She was the president of Oracle. There's a person on that board named Ted Schlein, so he's a famous venture capitalist. There's a person on that board named Mike Mullins. He's a 4-star admiral who was the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff for a while. And then what we do is it's not a company, it's a not-for-profit thing. We help them make choices about how to make investments in these technologies and then bring these technologies to use. So maybe you read a novel that I was in, but...
Well, thank you. Thank you, President Crow. To any student whose question was not answered here today, they are currently being forwarded off to the proper place at the university so they can and will be answered, and you should receive an answer soon. Thank you for coming today. Please join us at the next Student Forum in the spring with President Crow. Have a wonderful day and go Devils.
Thank you.
Thank you all.